Next run. We have Below the Ocean with Heponwana. Whenever you're ready,
Below the Ocean. This is a game most of you have probably never heard. It is really chill, really lo-fi, kind of in the one-bit style. It doesn't have the biggest following on SRC. In fact, the game's split up into four chapters. The leaderboards, they never really kept the SRC leaderboards going. So what I like to do is a made-up showcase category called 10% gems, all chapters. So we're going to play through in each one. You'll see what that is as we get going. Really cool game. I really encourage if you do enjoy this game. It's available on Steam and on itch. It's only about $6. And also, as I go through use to help back to
our apologies for that. Having a few little technical issues. We'll be back with that in just a moment once we get those sorted out. Um, so that should just be a few minutes. Want to give a quick thank you to all the staff behind the scenes that keeps this event running and their wonderful talent in helping take care of these little hiccups as they come up live. Live events are always very difficult to stage, so big shout outs to the staff on that. We'll get that run back to you as soon as we can. All right, let's give this another shot here. Hep, can you hear me? Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
All right, thank you again. Hopefully things are going to work smooth. I'm Heponwana. We're going to play through Below the Ocean. It's a cool little one-bit style kind of precision platformer. It's real chill, real lo-fi. If you like the game, it's available on Steam and itch. It's a real cool little indie game. As we go through, I'm going to die sometimes. Sometimes it'll be intentional because I'm going to do checkpoint abuse. Sometimes it'll be purely accidental, and I don't want those. Whatever they are, intentional or not, I'm going to donate $5 per death. It's a good way to get a little extra money over Trans Lifeline, which is a fantastic cause. If any of you out there want to join me, maybe donate like $1 per death. It's a good way to just bring in a little extra money and just have a little fun. So I'll explain the game as we go through, but this category is kind of a made-up category. This game, unfortunately, doesn't have much of a following on SRC. So I'm doing 100% all gems, all chapters. This game has 4 chapters. We're going to go through all 4 of them. Each chapter has a varying amount of gems, 8, 11, 9, and 8. We're going to get all of those. So we're getting the 100% experience. So we're going to get started real soon. As soon as I click on speedrun mode, we're going to get going. So we'll get going in 3, 2, 1, go. All right, so you play this cool little underwater guy. This game is real chill with its atmosphere. The music's real good, kind of mellow, and we could just tether ourselves to the air tanks. Our tether has limited range. Also, at the same time, our tether has physics. It might not look like it much, it's not going to move me around much, but sometimes we're going to get a little bit of extra movement because of our tether. Also, we are going to use our tether to solve puzzles. If you ever go underwater, don't do this. It's not good for your safety equipment. But luckily, our little below the ocean buddy, he can use his tether to fling himself up like that. We're going to grab all these gems. Anything that is blue in this game, a lot of times is going to do interesting things. Many times those interesting things are killing us. We want to avoid that interesting thing more than likely we don't want those extra deaths. So as we go along, we'll just do wall jumps. The first chapter of this game is relatively simple. I messed that up slightly. This game has, if you know, coyote jumps. Coyote jump is like from Wile E. Coyote, where you could jump after you fall off a ledge. Well, this game, when you're grabbing onto a wall as you slide down, you can actually coyote jump off of the edge of the wall after you've fallen below it. We'll only be able to use that a couple times, but hopefully we'll get them in. And we're just going to keep moving along. When you get a bubble, you can float on currents, and also you get a extra jump. We're going to try and keep this bubble as long as we can because we want it in the next room. Normally you have to go down and get that bubble down below and then come back up to get this top gem. By keeping that bubble from previous rooms, we're going to just get through a little quicker. Other fun thing in this game is if you press down, you can increase your fall speed. We're going to try and use that some, but we want to make sure we don't blow up our momentum too much. A lot of times your speed is incredibly vital in this game. We want to be very careful of things like if we're going too fast there, we would have popped into the spikes on the ceiling. So here we're going to see our first intentional death, and that'll be $5 from me because I don't want to untangle my tether right there. And we needed our tether over the block, not under the block. And we're going to do a couple more of those coming up because we just don't want to take the time to detangle ourselves. So there's another $5. $10 for Trans Lifeline already. If any of you want to join me, I really encourage it. Good way to have a little extra fun and kind of root me on to do extra good or extra bad. You'll see my tether was giving me some problems there. So it does have some physics and it was getting tangled up. By the way, there's another $5. We're just going to keep that money coming in and we're going to do another one. Oh, that's real soon. So we'll go over here, grab this bubble. We want to use this bubble to get some altitude. And we will just float up to this air cylinder. In upcoming chapters, we're going to see a lot more complex mechanics than just bubbles or simple bubbles and just simple electronic switches. Things are going to, by the way, there we go, $20 right there in total on this chapter. And this is the end of chapter 1. We got a orb of some sort or a pearl. We got some sort of fun collectible thing. And there we go. That is chapter 1 done. Now we move on chapter 2. We want to menu through as quick as possible. And chapter 2 is going to look very similar start, a different song. Keep the music cycling through. Every song in this game is so good. Oh, that was a bad move on my behalf. That's an extra death that I did not want to do. I want to go over here, not underneath, because I need to fling up like that. Oh, my bad on that one. So now That just means a little extra money for charity, which is never a problem, never a bad thing. And we're going to just go through, flinging through, keeping up, going from cylinder to cylinder. Unfortunately, we bop a turtle for speed strats. Be nice to turtles, but that one, it's okay. We'll see him in a minute. He is doing all right. And now we're going to use our safety equipment to just keep swinging through the water with the greatest of ease. You'll notice there are different types of air cylinders. The large ones will restart everything, kind of our checkpoints. The small ones are intermediaries. We want to keep this bubble for as long as possible because it skips the majority of that room. Also, just because you see an air tank doesn't mean you need it. You only grab the ones you actually need. We're going to fling, because if we did not fling hard enough right there, we actually could touch the spikes. And I already have one extra death. We don't need another one. Well, it'd be for a good cause, but... So now we have a hidden secret up here. If you see at the very top of the screen was a tiny little glimmer of the shine off of a gem. So here we're going to try and rush through this room. Ooh, and thread the needle right there. Barely get through. Once again, we got bop turtles. None of them give us that speed boost that we had earlier. Speed boost only comes from that one turtle. Oh, that was going to be bad. That was bad cycle. Unfortunately, there is a little bit of cycle base to... Oh! I tangled my tether. I didn't even realize that. Ah, the nerves. You play a game, you do it in front of everyone, and you just get a little bit nervous. It's all good. We're just going to keep going through this. Avoid those crabs, because we definitely don't want to be bopped by them. Had to slow down for a second, because they were in the bad part of the cycle. Much like, if you know the game Celeste, this game has a similar thing with its collectibles, where you don't just get the collectible by touching it, like the strawberries in Celeste. You actually have to meet some conditions. So, new bubble type right here. Blue bubbles you can use like little propulsion devices. Definitely don't want... I was about to say don't want to die here because that turtle falls into a bad cycle. Wow. I am just doing great at that, but it's all good. We're still doing nice and fast, moving through the water with the greatest of ease. Oh boy, I am having the roughest time. I just feel like I am letting my nerves get to me a little too much, and there's no problem with that. Just gotta take a breath and recover. Okay, that was not good right there. Ooh, I am taking a lot of extra deaths because I am just making the smallest little mistakes, but it's nothing to get upset about. And here we're able to stretch our tether by using that blue bubble, and that let us skip one of the tether spots, make up for a little lost time, use a little momentum as we boost upward there to get across. We are going to take a safety strat right there. Normally, I try to... Alright, there we go. Normally, I try to avoid grabbing any air in that room. When I'm speedrunning, you save a lot of time avoiding all the air. Unfortunately, I was having a little bit of a rough time, so we are going to take things a little safer. Also skipped most of that last room because you actually don't need to explore most of that room. Use these little bubbles, and now comes a hermit crab that we are going to mess with. He could be on the left or the middle. I'm guessing on the left, and I was right. So we need him in the next room. You'll notice he is sparkly. Anything that is sparkly has a gem hidden in it. By the way, also, we have an offensive attack. So, by bopping that hermit crab, we could knock a gem out of him. Anytime we are shiny like this with the yellow, it means we are electrified and we are invincible. We are going to use that to our advantage several times during this run. In what is probably blasphemous to most runners of Super Metroid, I call that Shine Spark when you have the little shininess. Here's another type of air bottle. If you attach to these ones that look kind of like bags, you can actually fling yourself off of them. We're going to use this one here. And if you fling yourself with one of these blue bubbles around you, you could break out of it. Here is our final gem for this chapter. Gotta solve a very basic puzzle of getting all of those little hermit crabs into their playpen. We get them all penned up. And now we go back to this room like we were originally doing. And we are going to break our tether, go flying all the way across this stage. But be mindful, there are spikes at the end, so you don't want to fling yourself too hard. If you go too hard, you're going to hit those spikes, and then you have redo the whole room. We don't want to redo that room. I'm going to aim for a speed strat here, which I got perfectly. I want to avoid that air bubble right there, or air bottle, and that way I could just shoot through that room with no hesitation. Then we are gonna... Whoa! I missed one fish. Did not mean to miss him. There we go. And we are about done with Chapter 2. Chapter 2 is one of the trickier chapters. It has a lot of very precise movements to it. So we're going to grab our treasure. Below the ocean, of course, is air. And there's our chalice. Yeah, this game, unfortunately, so many people don't know about it. Just from one development team of one person. It is such a cool game. There were 5 deaths there. And we will go ahead and just blast into Chapter 3, which introduces... I used Shine Spark before. Here's another Metroid-y thing. Going left. So we want to go left. This one right here has a cool... new mechanic of collecting these little pips. You get 4 pips, it'll activate the Destroy Your Hose machine, which lets you move freely, but also you only have 10 seconds before you drown, so we want to move nice and fast right there. We'll head on down here, grab a few more pips, because we want to once again get out of our air hose. And so, for a little while, that's going to be our main mechanic in this chapter, is these pips. But we're going to get some new additional mechanics real soon. Some of them are pretty cool. There is the clear bottle. Clear bottle sends you flying upside down. And if you use extra momentum while upside down, you could then break through blocks like that. So we're going to take advantage of that to find some hidden collectibles and, of course, to continue on through our journey. So bust through the ceiling there. So another very hidden collectible here. In fact, you would miss it entirely if you didn't know it was there. There was no clue to it. The ceiling didn't look unique or anything. Well, be very careful moving along with on a weird gravity. We have very unusual gravity when we're floating upside down, and we could control pressing up or down. By keeping that bubble from earlier, we were able to rush through this room. We're going to take an intentional death in this room because we're about to tangle up our tether like no one's business. I mean, this is going to be one tangled tether. I don't want to detangle it, so $5 for charity to get me out of cleaning up my own messes. Here we see switches. There are switches on this, and we use the physics of our tether to hold down these switches for us. And then we will just bust through here. Another room with... Oh, I need to tether before I could start going around pulling these switches. Without the tether, not going to hold it down. So we obviously don't want to leave the room yet because I see a gem right over here. A gem that will be collected as soon as we tether up again, right here. This is a very tricky area down here. So this here is going to be pushing our air supply to its extreme limit. So we are going to time our movement. You could grab air right there to play it safe. I don't want to play it safe. I want to just push the needle right there. Another new mechanic, these things are little cannons. They will just shoot us all around. And once again, we'll collect all the pips in this room, because if you couldn't tell, we are obviously going to break our tether once again. And then one more to clear out the room, and away we go. We are now in another room with a gem that requires a little thought. You have to get this air bubble, because these walls here that are clear textured, you cannot grab. And because we cannot grab them, we needed that bubble or we would have had to take a death. I should have reset this room and taken an extra intentional death, because if you reset this room, the jellyfish will be in a proper cycle where I wouldn't have to wait like I just did, but forgot to do that until it was a little too late and I wouldn't have saved any time. Here we want to jump over that spring pad, obviously, spikes on a ceiling, you don't want to hit those accidentally. And we will just continue on through another room where we are just going to keep moving as quick as we can. These automatic tethers, these grappling hooks, are really helpful, but also they are really good at getting you killed. So we are going to hope they play in our favor. We have a room coming up where they might cause us some trouble. So we want to hit that switch, and we're going to hit it by taking advantage of this tether, avoid this air bubble in that one, and just hook up on this one. By doing that, we saved a little bit of time. Gem up there. How are we going to get up there? Our tether is too short. We are going to take a long trip through being untethered and hopefully get tethered again before our air runs out, and there we go. Yeah, this game is such a great one if you just want to chill. Like, it is such a chill game. Everything about it is... Ooh, come on, there we go. That was the one that could have gotten me killed. That was the tether that could have been a problem. So sometimes that one won't grab you in time, and when it doesn't grab you in time, you will just fall into the spikes as it reaches for you, trying to grab you, and sadly not able to. We are going to take some intentional deaths in this next room, because once again, I don't want to bother having to detangle myself or backtrack. So, backtracking, it's slow. I'd rather pay a little money towards Trans Lifeline, great cause, than have to backtrack. So, keep moving forward, saving time by doing that. We will smash that ceiling there so we can remove ourselves from this. And now we gotta keep moving nice and fast. And we barely get through before we run out of air. On the bright side, any door you open, if you have to respawn, the door remains open, so that works out perfectly fine if you do accidentally die back there. Once again, avoid tethering up, because it'll just slow us down. And this will be the last room, well, the last major room in Chapter 3. You want to kill all these jellyfish, but go slow, because if you go too quick, they will, your shine spark won't be back, and if your shine spark is not back, sadly, you will die, and we don't want to do that. Alright, so once again, go down to treasure. This time it's in the middle of the room, not off to the screen to the right. And now we are done with Chapter 3. Chapter 4 is the most unique one. It's going to have some cool new mechanics. It's going to also have the only time there are a couple gems you could lose. By the way, I missed how many deaths I had in that last chapter. Does anyone have the number? If so, tell me in chat, because I am going to want to make sure I do pay for those debts. I was too carried away with moving way too quick for my own good. Alright, so new mechanic here is you are electrified with these. 4, thank you very much. So, while you are electrified, you also can move very fast. You keep moving, or you keep your electrified bubble if you hit an enemy. So we are going to hit enemies with our electrified bubble to keep it going. By the way, avoid that air bubble right there, because it would cause us to fall. We also use this to stretch our tether to reach places we just normally barely could not reach. And there we go. This room has 2 gems. It's also one of the trickier rooms for getting both gems. I actually didn't know how to get that one that you can see there for the longest time when I was first learning this game. So we will grab that one, we will re-tether here, and you don't need to jump through the air. Oh, that was bad. So, we still keep that gem, but, so we are gonna want to wait for this fish to move a little. So we didn't want to hit him directly, we wanted to get a little bit of a blast through him in order to be able to get up above. This room is quite tricky when you're first learning the game, and it makes it a lot of fun because there's a lot of thinking through, how do I solve this? By the way, spikes, you'd probably think spikes are bad news. Not when I am glowing, not with my shine spark. You'll notice one spike is glowing. We need to grab that one, and then we need to keep a shine spark for the next room. If we don't have it, we will lose the run. We will not get 100% because we need to use it right here, like that. If you reset the run or reset this room before you grab that gem, you cannot have a shine spark and you will have your run never be 100%. It will be 90-something%, which we don't need that. By the way, we need to hold down that switch on the floor. To do that, we will just grab this guy around. Oh, thank you very much. I believe the world should always be as positive as possible. You know, be good, do good for others, and the world just feels a lot better that way. We dragged 2 of these at once, so we could barely get through there with minimal effort. And then we want to drag this. Oh boy. Alright, there we go. I was worried that fish was going to be the death of me. Quite literally the death of me. Now that we are glowing, we don't need to worry about the fish. We don't need to worry about this spike. Those spikes on the floor, they will kill us still, so we definitely want to avoid them. So we hit these little targets, and it lets us go through nice and quick. We'll grab our shine spark right here. And we are going to have a death in this room. Because to grab that gem and to activate this, we will not have enough time to get down to the next tether, and you cannot re-tether to your previous oxygen bottle. So we have to just take a death right there. And I ran out of shine spark prematurely. I misaimed on that. That was my bad all the way. That's how it should have looked. And there we go. So this is a room that has a lot of potential for me to... Oh, Barely got that. Now I need to keep this bubble over to here. Avoid this spike. That spike is very tricky. Oh, barely bad. Oh well. We will trigger those to go off. Get our bubble again, because I did not mean to. My tether is doing some physics on me. If you can't see, when your tether gets too inked, alright, we're going to have to take this the slower route, because I was just fighting my tether a little too much. Get down here last second so we could get some air and get that gem. If we did not get to that bottle, the gem would not have been collected. These things right here, fun thing, they also work as an air supply. It's an air supply, it's a thing to hold down a switch on the floor. This one even has a little bouncy pad on it. I don't know why this guy is electric. Don't ask me. I have no idea, but it's electric. This here I call the second Indiana Jones room. It's falling, avoiding these spikes. The first Indiana Jones room was that one where I had spikes shooting at me as I ran through a non-watery space. This room will open up the door as soon as we get rid of the last spike. And here is the last gem. So new enemy type here. These things are bad news all around. So let's go nice and careful. Don't get spiked by them. We will then try to just go a hair slower than usual. A little bit of safety strats right there. Avoid that bounce pad. It bounces into a bad place. My tether was lifting me a little there, which was going to be a problem. So you have to wait for your shine spark to come back, but your shine spark does not go away if you just hit one of these little projectiles. By the way, we are almost done with the run. This is the last regular room. Time will be as soon as I fade in. So time is coming up. Forgive my dog barking in the other room. In about 3, 2, 1... time. And that is 4 chapters, all gems. I wish there were more chapters. This game is really, really cool. Like, this game is... I speedrun it because I love speedrunning it, but also I speedrun it because it puts you in a good mood. Like, it just makes you feel almost like you're on it's an ASMR Zen vacation for your mind. But that would be Below the Ocean. I ranked up, let's see, there is 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 deaths. I'm going to donate $5 per. That's going to be $80. All for Trans Lifeline, a fantastic cause. If anyone wants to join me, you know, maybe just $1 per death, $16 would do a great service for Trans Lifeline. But thank you all for having me. Good luck everyone else at this marathon. Been some amazing runs. I've been loving it. It is fantastic. I always say fantastic furs. Fastest furs is fantastic. I love what this community does and the positivity and just the good vibes all around and the welcomeness that this community has. Thank you all so much.